Yeah. So, a cultural artifact is a term that is used by social scientists for anything that's created by people that gives some type of information about the cultural narrative of either its creators or its users. So some of the examples of a cultural artifact would be a sculpture. It would also be a sculpture, a painting, lyrics, and monuments. One of the ironic things about my beloved city, Richmond, Virginia, is that we have a street of monuments dedicated to Confederate generals that lost a war. Do you realize that the Confederate States of America only lasted for 4 years, yet it's had this significant area of our history and a narrative that's given a lot of prominence, and it's not even, hasn't been that long for their existence. So, Monument Avenue is the only street in the registry of our national historic places in America. So this is a big deal. What is the narrative of Monument Avenue? For some, like the sons of Confederate veterans, it's really about honoring their family members. But for others, it's a symbol of domestic terrorism, white supremacy. And for others, it's a cultural narrative of shame. And they don't want to be associated with the guilt of that legacy. But the question for us is, what is all of these different perspectives really about? I think these different perspectives are really about one narrative of belonging. Do I belong into this country? Do I belong into this city? Do I belong in this community? And for 150 years, we have been struggling with this whole question of belonging within a diverse community. If you think about it, today, our city is more diverse than it's ever been. Our country is more diverse than it's ever been, but yet we still are struggling with the shadow of slavery, Jim Crow, and racial bias. And every day we have a narrative of cultural artifacts that are reminding us of this struggle. And I think this struggle has actually become our legacy. But I think we have an opportunity today to actually change our legacy. Do we want the legacy of Richmond, Virginia to be the capital of the Confederacy, or do we want it to be the capital of reconciliation and belonging? We have to ask ourselves the question, what kind of legacy do we want to leave behind for the next generation? And what are we willing to do in order to get a new legacy? The way to create a new legacy is by creating new cultural artifacts that will be places of belonging and expressions of belonging for a truly multicultural community. So about 7 years ago, my wife and I moved into this community called Churchill, and this is a picture of our community East End Fellowship. There are a bunch of different types of people in this community. You have people that are diverse both racially, ethnically, but socioeconomically also. In this picture, you see millionaires, you see homeless people, you see people that were born as trust fund babies, and people who were born as crack babies. And I'm going to tell you something. Being in a truly multicultural community is very, very hard. When we decided to try this out as an experiment, we thought that the way that we could become a multicultural community is by getting a diverse group of people together and just hope for the best. But we found out that our passive strategy was very limiting because we weren't creating enough cultural artifacts that were expressions of belonging and places of belonging for people. So this is where I found my great passion. About 5 years ago, I started this urban songwriting internship where I would invite talented musicians and singers that come from diverse backgrounds, both racially, ethnically, and socioeconomically, and they would begin to write songs of belonging for our community. We've written over 70 songs in 5 years, and this cultural artifact has really become a piece of the fabric of this community to help weave it together. And I've been really surprised by some of the stories that have emerged out of this. So, for example, there were two African-American young ladies who were from Churchill and oftentimes would be categorized as at-risk youth. Well, they were 16 years old when they participated in our internship program. And by the time they went to college, they wrote a song that was published and distributed it nationally, and people around the country sing this particular song. And you think for somebody that's been told a narrative that they couldn't be successful, they actually were leaders that helped to change the narrative of their community, to have their community be a place of hospitality and belonging for other people. I even think about my good friend Alfredo, and I've been surprised to see how the songs themselves have become a place of belonging and hospitality for others. My friend Alfredo, when he came to the United States, he did not get a warm welcome of hospitality. Matter of fact, he met a lot of people that would take advantage of him because he was an undocumented laborer. And Alfredo, when he was 18 years old, walked across the border and for 2 years worked as an indentured servant. And I remember when he told me the story for the first time, I was like, does that really still happen to this day? And in this picture that we see, this was during a time where he and his family were going through the convoluted and complex immigration process, and every day they lived in fear that their family would be split apart for an indefinite amount of time. And it was the songs that we were writing and creating that they were singing that became a cultural artifact of belonging and hospitality for them. So we never know the impact of what our cultural artifacts will do when we choose to create spaces of belonging for people. I think that we have a tremendous opportunity ahead of us. We, as a community, can begin to create cultural artifacts that are places of belonging, and hopefully we will begin to create a new legacy that our city and our country will begin to be known as a place of reconciliation and belonging. So this is my cultural artifact, and I want to know what is yours. Thank you very much.